Hey, Mike, what do Kelly Slater and PT have in common?
I don't know. They're both world champs?
Nope, they both own Endless Summer box set.
Oh my God, rad. You guys, you can get it too. The link's in the show notes.
Foot out jerk food. 100 racks on a surf dude. Slippery, big guns like Mark Food. Trap jumping like a kangaroo. 100 foot out.
Hey everybody, welcome to the QuiverCast, where we chat with surfers from all around the world, from all walks of life, and we get their story. Find us at www.thequivercast.com. I am Mike, your host. Let's get into the show. Hello, everybody. This is Mike here with the QuiverCast, and I'm super stoked. I have an East Coast, New Jersey guy, Mr. Sam Hammer. How are you doing, Sam?
I'm good, Mike. Thanks for having me on. It's an honor.
Dude, I'm pretty stoked. Thank you so much. Okay, first off, you're the guy I always see get in the barrel, on the good swell, cold Jersey Northeast swells. You're the guy.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's what I've always strived for, to be honest with you, is
really?
trying to keep up with the young bucks, It's tough, but it's cool, man. Jersey has great waves, all of the Northeast, so the whole East Coast. It's just like anywhere else. If you're there at the right time, it's pumping, and we've been pretty lucky to have a pretty good year. So it seems like more swell on Christmas Eve too, which is nice.
So actually, we'll start with today. Did you surf today?
I did not. I did not. So what happens is we'll go this time of year, the weather patterns outside right now, it's probably 30 degrees with 25 mile an hour northwest winds, which is really cold.
Yeah.
And after we get we had a pretty big swell Friday.
Yeah.
And after those big fronts come through, it pulls all the weather and the wind goes offshore and blows it flat by the next morning most times.
Oh my gosh.
So it's more this time of year than in the summer and spring, but just because it's been blowing 20 miles an hour for the past, God knows how long.
Really? Okay. So
yeah.
So the swells don't last long, basically, kind of.
No, they don't. We've been very fortunate. We've had a lot of swell in the past 3 weeks. There's probably been 4 or 5 days where you're standing in tubes, which is pretty nice. I mean, you're wearing hood, boots, gloves. It's a small price to pay to be standing in tubes with your buddies all day.
Okay, so you're not old by any means, but how old are you now?
I'm 43.
43.
I'm 43.
Okay,
yeah.
So I got to ask you, is it harder the older you get to stay in the cold water, or do you look forward to the cold water? What's your take on it?
It's funny because I always grew up, the second I graduated high school, I started traveling. I'd spend my winters in Hawaii. There was a few winters I'd come home for Christmas and, and we got swells, and I never really experienced winter swell because growing up, I always wrestled from Thanksgiving to March. I was wrestling. So I wasn't really surfing or focusing on it. So our best waves are in the winter. There's no doubt about it. As I've gotten older, it's gotten a little bit more difficult to get excited for the mediocre days.
Yeah. Okay.
The problem is you need to keep your arms in shape for those really good days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Billabong's saying is life's better in board shorts.
Yeah.
So I'd always say life's best in a 5 mil. That was kind of my saying for a little while, just to kind of be hey, not everyone can live in board shorts all year. You have to make do with what you have. And I didn't want to leave New Jersey. I love where I live. I love where I'm from. And what other options do you have? You either embrace it or you move.
Okay.
As I've gotten older, I look for warmer climates a little bit more often than I used to.
Okay. So you traveled after high school. You moved, right? You moved away or moved around?
I moved around. I just was on the road. I lived in California briefly here and there. I'd spend about 4 to 5 months in Hawaii every winter. And then I just do trips throughout the whole year. And then you always want to be away from here in the summer. It's a lot of fun. It's a great place to live. But as far as surf goes, historically, it's pretty bad. June, July, you can go without surfing for about 2 to 3 weeks.
Wow. let's start in the beginning. How did you start surfing? Like in New Jersey, is that a normal thing to pick up a surfboard and surf? Like maybe in Southern California or Hawaii?
I'm really lucky where I grew up. So I grew up 5 houses from the beach
Okay.
and in this little small town. And I had an older sister and all her friends surfed.
Oh, cool.
So when I was like, I guess when I was like 4 or 5, I started boogie boarding and getting into that. And I actually don't know, but I taught myself how to surf on a boogie board. I don't know when I started doing it. My mom and dad, they have like no recollection of when I started to do it, but it was just all self-taught. I was watching my sister's friends do it on hardboards. And then when I was 9, I started surfing and no more boogie boarding. And I was obsessed with it. And it's still an obsession, unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So just I guess living where I grew up, you wake up every day, and I don't know if you've ever been to, the Atlantic too often, but it's got a distinct smell, and every day you wake up and you have this, it's a great smell. No, I think it like has this raw, fresh ocean smell. Every day you wake up and you get that waft of salt water or salt air in your face. And it's like, all right, I want to go surf today. So yeah, just a lot of luck of where I grew up. A lot of my buddies surf, not all of them, but a lot of them surfed. So, we'd always go surf after school or before school. And we didn't have surf P, unfortunately.
Oh, bummer. So in the general area, are you like I should have looked it up on the map, but are you kind of like by yourself, like a township, or is there like a row of town after town after town?
Yeah. I mean, the Jersey Shore, it's pretty long. There's different regions in Jersey. There's north or central, and then there's south.
Okay.
There's a pretty good rivalry. That's a whole different thing. But like between South and Central, there's a good rivalry.
Good.
But there's just shore towns, and it's pretty similar to anywhere else that's on the coast. It doesn't face one direction. So if the waves are good in one spot, might be pick up a swell better with different winds as opposed to another. So we're really lucky. We have some versatility and some really special waves. And yeah, it's just kind of, it moves though. It's all sandbars, sandbars, jetties, piers, inlets, so it always fluctuates. Historically, a lot of the sandbars are in the same spots because of the way, where I live. Yeah, where I live, it was an old barrier island that they kind of just filled it with sand, put homes in. And so there's all these old inlets and the water still funnels there, even though the inlets are closed.
Wow. Okay, cool.
So it's pretty cool.
Being so close to like the whole middle, you're kind of north middle of the East Coast. Are you doing traveling up and down the coast also? Going up north to get some of the reefs like New England and stuff?
Yeah. I've surfed everywhere on the East Coast. I haven't been to Florida to surf since I was in NSSA days, like 17 years old.
Okay.
And then I'll go to North Carolina every once in a blue moon, but I've done a lot of stuff up in New England, from here to, Nova Scotia. I've spent a lot of time up there. Mike Gleason, you familiar with Mike Gleason?
I know the name. Yeah.
Yeah. So Mike Gleason and myself and, this kid, Pat Schmidt and Tommy Aiken, and then Ballroom too.
Yeah.
We've spent a lot of time kind of going and surfing some different waves up in New England. And that to me is fun because it's a lot, there's a lot of reefs, but it's so fickle. It's so fickle and temperamental. If that swell's not the perfect direction and you're sunk.
Yeah.
And the tide changes can go from 8 to 18 feet. So
wow,
you surf a wave for an hour and it's done.
And what about further up? Do you ever go to Nova Scotia or some of the islands up in Canada?
Yeah, I've been up to Nova Scotia a bunch of times. There's really good surf. There's so many good waves. There's good waves. It's just we don't get a lot of our swells are moving
like short period.
A lot of short period, but they're moving off the coast. So they they peak, and the second the winds go offshore and it cleans up, it's starting to get smaller already.
Yeah.
So that's why we kind of look at some of the hurricanes. I'm not a big fan of hurricane swell. Like 9 times out of 10, they're not the best, but they can be really good if they're in the right area. But we get this time of year, we get these low pressures that spin off of Florida, like the one the other day, and it just comes right up the coast, and it's good. Okay,
cool. What about New Jersey? When you say you surf, are they like, what? Is that still stereotypical true?
No, I mean, listen, that's
Okay.
kind of an old thing, you know. Surfing, listen, Jersey has great waves. I
Oh,
mean,
100%. I've seen them.
everybody's seen the photos. There's
Yeah.
phenomenal waves. It's just it's fickle. Like, just, you know, we're just not as consistent as most other places. You know,
Yeah.
it's either
Yeah.
it seems like a lot of times too, it's feast or famine. So you could get those. We're in a great stretch right now, which is incredible. You know, it's just feast or famine. But when the waves are good, man, it's hard to beat. It really is.
Yeah. I saw a video you just the other day getting the left.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. It looks like,
It
I
was
mean,
hard.
it was hard.
That day was really hard. Yeah, the way the water was moving, it was a really short period, and there was a lot of east in the swell, and then there was
Mm,
a lot of south, so it was very peaky,
yeah.
and it was moving really, really fast. There were some really good surfers out, and everybody was kind of just saying the same thing, like, what is going on out here?
Okay. So let's talk about Jersey and even Northeast or anywhere on the East Coast. What about like localism? Is there such thing where you can't paddle out a certain street because
I mean, listen, is there localism around here in New England? Sure, there is. You're always going to have those people that are very protective of what they have. To me, it doesn't seem like it's needed. We're not dealing with waves like Pipeline,
yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
you need some sort of control. It's not like it used to be. There used to be able to get away with so much more. Like growing up, are you familiar with Casino Pier?
Yep. Yep.
So I grew up about a mile from Casino Pier, and that was pretty much where I, cut my teeth and surfed every day. There, growing up and learning, if you stepped out of line, the older guys let you know, and
Okay.
you had to really prove yourself and work through the pecking order, and show. But when you're young, you're trying to push the limits too,
Right.
and you're going to push your boundaries, and
Right.
it's the same anywhere. But in today's society, it just doesn't really happen any longer. There's places like Jenkinson's and Manasquan. You don't really see too much localism anymore. It's not, I don't know, around here, I don't think it's really needed. On the best day of the year, you can surf a peak by yourself with a few buddies. It might not be the best peak, but it might be a little bit worse than, you know, than a peak that's 100 yards away, but there's no one on it. So on any given day of the year, you can surf by yourself here, and that's an incredible thing.
Okay, cool. All right, going back. So you get in your boogie board, you're with your sister, or you're looking up to your sister and her friends surfing.
Yeah.
So you're like, I don't know if that's your motivation or if that's just like it stokes you out. So then how do you start progressing? And did your parents surf?
No, my parents didn't surf. My dad's from Pittsburgh. My mom's from northern New Jersey, and they moved down here. My dad had a summer house here and just loved it. So
Okay, that's where he got.
yeah, and then my family has a restaurant they've had for 43 years also here. I just love to surf. I don't know what it was about the ocean. It's something, you're never in control, and I think that's a beautiful thing. So I just got hooked. I don't know why. I don't know what did it. I don't know what did it at an early age. And I mean, most surfers know it's like an addiction. You're addicted to good waves.
Yeah.
So I just started surfing, and the town I grew up in, we had a few really good surfers when I was younger, and still it's changed a little bit, but growing up there was really, really good surf scene in my town. And then we had Casino Pier, like I said, a mile away
Right.
from me.
Yeah.
So I would always go there, and that's where some of the best guys in the state were surfing all the time. And I wanted to compete with them. I wanted to beat all their asses, and that's just kind of who I was as a young kid. Is I want to be the best, and that's kind of where I got my drive. And got to a point though where I was watching surf movies as inspiration as opposed to going out, and I felt like, I was still being pushed by the older guys, but most of my progression came from just studying videotapes of other guys and mimicking movements.
Who are the guys you were looking up to? What are the names?
Martin Potter, when I was a little kid, he was my favorite. And then
Really? Okay.
and then Taylor Knox is my favorite surfer.
Okay.
So
what about the local guys?
Guys like John Anderson, he's a guy from around here that's really good. He always inspired me. There was a few other guys that nobody would ever know that ripped, and then there's guys like Tony G. You know Tony G?
I know who he is.
Tony Giordano. He owns Ocean Hut. He's a local legend. And Greg Masenko, Grog, And I'd always surf with those guys. And there was a few brothers at the pier that were really good. The Kelly brothers, they were really good, competing in nationals and stuff like that. Those are the guys I kind of grew up really focusing on and watching and just kind of studying their movements. But a lot of times I was just really watching and focusing on videos because that's all we had,
Yeah.
I remember when the kill first came out and
Yeah.
Rat Boy did that big error reverse. It was like, oh my God, what was that? Let's go try that for the next forever. Still trying to.
So the kill was a lot of that Santa Cruz, or most of it's all Santa Cruz, right?
Yeah.
So how different is Santa Cruz from New Jersey? And you're watching these videos, it's like almost completely different, right?
It's completely
the environment.
Different. We don't have point breaks. We're surfing in a 5 mil for. I mean, luckily the wetsuits are so good now, but we were surfing in 5 mils from November to end of April.
Yeah.
So it's different. It's different, but it's beautiful. I mean, their waves are better. I can't say that.
It's different. It's just different waves.
It's different. Yeah. Like, they're more consistent, but like I said, when our waves are good, there's not much that's better.
So you're traveling, you've watched the kill a million times. Did you go up to Santa Cruz, and how was that? Or did you go to Santa Cruz? The question.
No, I went there twice to compete in the steamers contest, but man, that wave's tricky.
Steamers?
Had a tough time. Yeah, if you only surf it during a heat, it's like figuring it out on the fly. It doesn't really work. Found that out the hard way. But yeah, so it's I went up there a few times, got some good waves. But I spent, when I was in California, I'd spend most of my time in when I was younger in Encinitas. A few of my buddies lived out there.
Oh,
yeah,
okay, cool.
a few of my buddies lived out there, and we're actually Cardiff too. So we were always out there, and then Oceanside a little, and then I spent a lot of time in San Clemente.
So you did some traveling. So what did you think of coming to the West Coast? Did you come for nationals and all that too earlier on when you were younger?
Yeah, I started coming out there for nationals when I was 16.
Okay.
And then just kind of competing, seeing what it's all about out there. And then I actually got a job working at a surf school in San Clemente.
Oh, which one?
It was called Summer Fun.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember a guy named Steve Speck?
No, I don't. But where was that at? Was that like
it was in State Park.
Something?
Yeah, it was in State Park. And it's kind of funny. It's like at that time, Greg and Rusty Long were living in the park.
Yeah.
So I became friends with them and, was immediately thrown in the mix with like Fred Patacci was always staying there and this kid Aaron Nalawai. And I just remember surfing with those guys and they're like, hey, let's go surf lowers. It was pretty cool because then you're going out with those guys and those guys have the run of the mill out there.
So you feel like you got a little special treatment maybe? Did it help you?
I mean, it helps. Yeah.
Okay.
People see you walking down with those guys. It was, their dad's on the beach. Yeah. It was pretty cool. So I was very fortunate to kind of stumble into that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, some of that was dumb luck, but it paid dividends. I watched those guys and it was fun to surf with them and just, Fred Patacci, I think, won nationals the first year I met him. And it was pretty, you're surfing with national champ every day.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Yeah. It was incredible.
Did that motivate you to want to become a pro more?
What's funny is whenever I was a little kid, I always wanted to become a professional surfer, and who knows what that was.
Yeah.
It wanted, obviously it was the top 44 at the time, and then it motivated me. It really did. It was always something in the back burner. I grew up at a great time on the East Coast where the guys that I was competing against in Easterns were, the Hobgoods, Asher Nolan, Ben Bourgeois. So it was,
a heavy crew.
Three or four guys, Gabe Kling, 4 of them that are on the WCT.
Yeah.
And so I'm not winning Easterns. I'm getting, beat by those guys, but it was very humiliating or humbling to say the least. But
really? Okay.
It's just humbling. You're like, oh shit, I got these guys. It was awesome because they're the, some of the best in the US and you're surfing against them 100%. And you're like, all right, I this is what I need to do to get better. So you're only going to get better if you surf with better people. You're not,
Okay.
So
your parents are working hard. They have a restaurant, right? But you're traveling. Are they taking you traveling? Or are you jumping in the car with somebody else, another fellow surfer?
my parents gave me a lot of leeway. I think about it now, like as a parent, and I'm like, wow, I was very fortunate to kind of, have the experience that I had, because my parents were like, oh yeah, go ahead, and they were very disciplined, strict parents, but like when it came to traveling and getting out to kind of just get better at surfing and see what's out there, they knew my passion for it, and they understood it. My dad's dad was a doctor, and he went after his dream of being a restaurant bar owner. So
Yeah.
it's like, so he understood it, and my mom understood it. So they gave me very, very good advice and encouragement to go try to make some money at surfing. I was very fortunate for that, and I'll always be grateful.
So what did your grandfather say, being a doctor, and you being a surfer?
He passed when I was super young,
Oh,
so
you
I
didn't get to know him?
I only knew him. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't remember him. Yeah, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. I'm sure he would have rolled over in his grave.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I do. Yeah,
Okay.
I do. Just from what I understand, he was very, very disciplined. He was in the military, and
Yeah.
he's very disciplined, and so.
Oh, okay.
But my parents were super cool with it, and so supportive. So when I started going out to California, I started going when I was like 15. So just kind of a lot of luck. I grew up with them, and they were that supportive.
Chaperone or unchaperoned when you're coming out here?
Unchaperoned. Yeah. Just with some friends. Yeah. The friends
cool.
were older, so it was cool. But some friends I made out in California. My one buddy Dave, he lives in Santa Monica, and
Okay.
I used to come out and stay with him. And yeah, he lived in San Diego, and just go stay with him in La Jolla.
And was he a little older?
Same age.
Oh, same age. That's cool. That's so rad.
Yeah.
In today's
pretty
world,
cool.
I don't know if that would fly.
I don't think it would fly at all. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think it would work. But
Okay.
My parents are very trusting.
Okay. Now, all right, I might get you in trouble, and you can say you don't want to talk about it, but I have to ask. You guys are so young. You're kind of on your own. Are you guys partying? Are you having getting in trouble? Or are you staying, like, you don't have to tell everything, but
Yeah. No, so it's funny. That's a good question. I've always been when I was younger, I was very, very disciplined. I always, when I was young, I wasn't getting in trouble. I wasn't drinking. I didn't smoke weed. And, I just wanted to surf. I just wanted to improve my surfing. And so every opportunity I got, I kind of just looked at it like what it was. It was an opportunity to improve, and anything that was going to slow me down or prohibit me, I didn't want to take that risk of something bad happening.
wow.
I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I look at it in
That's super cool.
retrospect, and I'm like, what? I don't know. Like, all my friends would be here partying in the summer, and I'd be out there surfing and working at the surf school just so I could go surf more.
Okay. So you had you had a drive to stay straight to improve on surfing. And
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I think, well, in today's world, it's different too, but okay. Interesting. I completely thought it would be a different answer. I'll be honest.
No, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, listen, did we go out once in a while? Yeah, but not like, it wasn't by any means a free for all, or I didn't feel like I was going to a frat or anything like that. I was pretty disciplined. I just, I had a goal and I wanted to achieve it.
Okay. So in your head, as a 15-year-old kid, Sam Hammer, 15, what were you saying to yourself in that head? Like, did you have long-term goals, or was it short-term? Like, I want to turn pro. I think, like, you tell me.
When I was 15, I didn't know where this was going to take me.
Okay.
I was still, like I said, I wrestled in college. So I was still, or not in college, in high school.
Yeah.
And I loved to wrestle. So I took that seriously too, So at that point I had no expectations. And then when I was 17, my parents were like, what do you want to do after high school? And I said, if you guys give me a year, I don't want to go to school right now. I'm not ready. I'm not mature enough. I'll fail because I just want to surf. So they gave me a year, and if I started making money, then they'd see where it went. I just was fortunate and worked hard and busted my ass, and then surfed every chance I got as much as I could, and I think that first year I spent about 4.5, 5 months in Hawaii, just because I don't want to be in New Jersey in the winter. Even when I was home, it's funny, when I was younger, I didn't surf in the winters. I'd surf maybe like 2 or 3 times from
Yeah.
November to March, through March. It just wasn't. I just didn't enjoy it.
Okay.
So I just wanted to be in Hawaii, and so they gave me 2 years, and it worked.
First off, were they like literally supporting you with money, or was your sponsors helping you, or how did you afford to stay?
So when I was 18, so I got out of high school, and I had a few good summers. I was getting stuff in the magazines. So they were supporting me, for like the first 6 months, and then I started making money. I got a contract from Hurley,
Oh, okay, cool.
and I rode for them for very short, and then I went back to Billabong. I was with Billabong since I was like 15, 16.
Okay.
And then I did the split, and then I went back to Billabong. And then so I grew up in the golden era of surfing, where people could make a living off of getting published in magazines.
Yes.
It's just so I was at the forefront of that, and it was really just fortunate timing, and so they were supporting me a little bit. If I needed money, obviously they're going to help me out. I also, when I was home, I did work a little bit
Okay.
for my parents' restaurant, so I'd make money there, and then also made a little bit of money surfing, and then
So were you just surviving, or were you have enough to put in the bank for like later on?
No. Yeah, no. I was just surviving. Yeah,
Okay.
I was paying my bills and being able to travel, and kind of, it's funny. I wasn't good at saving when I was younger, and in retrospect, I kind of, as you get older, I kind of regret that a little bit. But at the same time, if I wanted to go somewhere, I went. I didn't care if somebody was sending me. I wanted to go.
Yeah.
I lived it up, and if I wanted to go to Puerto tomorrow, I was gone. And there was no second guessing, no asking, hey, can you guys chip in for this? If I got photos, it paid for it. So that's the way I looked at it.
And you did things that most of us don't get to do.
Correct.
99% of the world, the places you've been.
Yeah, I was fortunate. I look at just, so fortunate. So fortunate.
Okay. When you're traveling, you're going to Porto tomorrow, whatever. Are you also doing other things besides surfing, or is it just surfing? Like you're there for one single reason?
I'm there to surf. That's all I'm there.
Okay.
I go to Puerto. I spent a lot of time in Puerto, and I'd fly down. I'd wake up at 4:35 in the morning, go surf till the wind came on shore, go sleep, go back out when the wind went back offshore. Go to sleep.
All right, and then so the 2 years or year passes. And then what happens?
So I started getting published in magazines, and I was still competing a little bit. I wasn't having good success competing. I wasn't. I don't know. I wasn't a smart competitor when I was younger.
Okay.
And I was very intimidated by people that were in my heat. So, that kind of played into it a little bit. I didn't have that confidence. I was never an East Coast champ. I was never a national champ. I would make the finals and stuff, but I would never, sniff the podium. So it was just, I guess that was a little bit of lack of confidence, but I started getting published in magazines, and, then you get incentives, and, the next year your contract goes up because you're getting published. So I kind of just chased that route of getting published, and started going on trips, and realizing that the more photographers you work with, and if you work well with them, you're going to get more opportunity, and more opportunity puts more photos across your boss's desk or the magazine's desk, and they're happy. It's not rocket science if you show that you're working and you're doing your job, and you're not taking it for granted by going out and partying all the time. And it just, when I was on trips, it was business. When I was home, that's when I'd kind of let my guard down and hang out with my friends.
Okay. What about charging? Like, so it's a solid swell and it's Porto. And Porto's, I mean, I've never surfed it, but it's heavy, right?
It's heavy, yeah.
Are you always saying, yes, I'm going out?
Yeah, I'd surf it. I mean, it's different. It's so different compared to what it is now. Like, just the progression of what people are surfing is psycho. So it wasn't like, if it got too big, you'd go to Barra and go surf Barra.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd surf there a lot. I spent a lot of time in Puerto. It's an incredible wave. It's the funny thing is Puerto, I've said this my whole life, is an oversized New Jersey.
Okay.
It's very similar the way it breaks, and it's just quadruple the size, you know. But like as far as our waves are super steep and ledgy, and you know it's a lot of the same reeds that you're looking at in the waves. It's just, you know, one's bigger and one's a little bit more compact.
Okay. And one has warm water.
One has very warm water. Yeah. You're in trunks, no leash. Yeah, you can't beat it.
Is it easier to charge in trunks?
Yeah, I'd say it's a lot easier to kind of
Okay.
push your limits. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like I always look at those guys at Mavericks, and it blows me away that they're in, you know, 4 mils and boots and charging that stuff.
Yeah.
It's cold, man.
It's not as cold as Jersey, but it's cold.
Not as cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not as cold as here, but there's not too many places that are as cold as we get, you know.
So if you had the opportunity, or have you ever had the opportunity to surf Mavericks, or would you do it?
No, I don't like deep water.
Okay.
So you know, I surfed a lot of pipe when I was younger, a lot of off the wall, you know, when it was pretty big, and I'd surf it, you know, I'd surf pipe as you know, I'm not like some pipe charger, but I would get waves out there.
Yeah, you score.
But you know, it's definitely easier in warm water.
Okay.
Definitely easier. Yeah.
All right.
But I mean, you know, would I surf? I don't know if I would. I don't know. Like I said, I don't like deep water. I've done some tow-ins when it was first coming out at like Phantoms and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I've done it, you know, it's just, I like to, I'd rather hit a reef and bounce up, you know?
You have any stories on pipe? Anything bad ever happened?
Yeah, I had a pretty good incident at pipe when I was younger. I was really starting to kind of feel my groove at backdoor, and I was getting pushed. Brian Pacheco is a fellow Billabong rider, and he told me to go on this one wave, and I went, and I ended up getting pushed into the ceiling. And the next thing I know, I'm going, you know, straight into the reef. And Otto Flores had to come get me in the water, and then the lifeguards got me. And
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty good. It was a pretty good cut on the back of my head. It was, you know, it's about an 8-inch cut, and it was pretty deep. I'll never forget it. I mean, it was such a surreal moment, and I don't remember it great. I remember what happened. I remember hitting the reef a second time. It was a learning experience. It makes you kind of evaluate waves a little differently. I was pretty fortunate I didn't get knocked out. You know, if I kind of came to, and I came to as the second wave was about to go over me, and I was able to just kind of just get a breath. I think if that wave went over, I might have been in more trouble.
How hard was it to go back out there after the incident? Mentally?
It was hard. Yeah. Mentally, it was very hard. It was very challenging. You know, the first day I surfed it, it was just pretty big pipe, and it cleaned up a little bit like that twilight. And it was just really ledgy. I caught 2 waves, and it was the scariest 2 waves of my life. Just kind of, you know, but if you don't get over it, you gotta move on quick. You want to have a short memory with something like that. You know, you obviously learn from it and take it as an experience, but you don't want it in the back of your head when you're trying to push yourself over,
right.
You know, a scary ledge. That's just more hesitation, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. At what point do you decide, after traveling all around the world, and you've been, I mean, so many different places, what are some of the places you've been to besides Mexico, mainland Mexico, Hawaii?
I've been a lot of places. I've been very fortunate. When I was younger, I'd do all the warm water stuff. I'd go to like Indo and
Okay.
Australia. I was in Australia for a long time, and you know, Caribbean, all over the Caribbean. I used to go to Barbados quite a bit. That place is heaven on earth. And then a lot of the Caribbean, a lot of South America, Central America. And then as I got older, I started doing a lot more cold water stuff.
Okay.
Just because there was kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say there was a niche for it, but there was. You know, not everyone was as open to going somewhere where you're throwing on a 5 mil and it's, you know, really cold. So
right.
I went to like Chile, Norway, where else? I've been to Iceland a bunch of times, Morocco, Senegal, you know, some cool places.
Yeah, rad places. Once again, going back to the question I had earlier for you, is this strictly surfing? Are you sightseeing at all on these places too?
A little bit. Some places, yes.
Okay.
That's a great question because when you're surfing, all I used to think about was surfing, and I kind of feel like sometimes when I was younger, I took a lot of things for granted.
Okay.
Whereas I wish I kept a diary. I wish I kept notes. I wish just so I have it in memory of all these things that I've seen and experiences that I've had. As I got older, kind of sightsee a little bit more because you tend to appreciate history and all that stuff a little bit more in culture.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Like earlier on, you're young, you're gun ho to surf, but then as you get older, you look at life a little bit different. I would assume.
You look at life way different, yeah.
Way different,
and just culture and just seeing some things, man. Like I went to Russia with Chris Burkard years ago, and he was detained for a few days. And
Really? Oh,
yeah, it was pretty crazy. Just because he had a camera and they didn't know what he was doing. Just experiencing that and seeing like Russia. We're in Vladivostok, which is just north of North Korea, and it was just a trip, dude. Like it was a trip, and it was a surf trip with Mike Lostness was on it.
Okay.
And it was just it was a trip. Like it's Russia. You're here surfing in Russia, and the waves where we were, the waves weren't that good. But you think about that now, and you're just like, wow. Just what can you say? Like it was Russia. It was, I don't know. It's just a really, really crazy place.
Like it could have went any way, right? Is that what you're saying?
I kind of like, in retrospect, there's a lot. It was just different, man. It was just, I don't know what to say. It wasn't good, bad, or ugly. It was just, it was just a different experience.
Okay. Trippy. I didn't, yeah. So when he got out, was he like, did you guys keep, like, didn't you go do your surf shots and all that in photo or movie or whatever he was filming?
Yeah. Well, it's pretty funny because I got there a little
get out of here. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. So it was an experience. We kind of just hung out and just hung out with these people that were kind of showing us around and bringing us to waves. The waves when I got there were terrible. So they were there a few days before, and I think it was in August or September, and they got there a few days before and got waves. And by the time I got there, it was flat. And we were there. I think I was there for 6 or 7 days. We were supposed to be there for 2 weeks. And there was a massive hurricane. I believe it was Hurricane Bill on the East Coast.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm out of here. It's flat. I'm going home. Like, we're out. I'm done. Peace. Okay. But it was an experience. It was cool.
Right on. And then like that movie you're in, that's a pretty darn good movie. I saw it years ago, so I should have watched
Under an Arctic Sky?
Yeah, such a rad movie.
Yeah, that trip was crazy.
Well, first off, how did you get chosen for that? Did you raise your hand, or they call you?
Chris called me. Okay. So it's funny. I've done a lot of, when he first won the Larry Flame Award.
Yep.
I was on one of the first trips he went on to Indonesia. Like he won that award and then he went to Indonesia and I was on that boat trip. So we just got a good rapport, like we got along. So he saw that I'd work and he's a very aggressive photographer. Like he wants to shoot as much as he can. We just worked well together and he invited me on a lot of trips. I went Norway and the Faroe Islands with him. I've been to Iceland with him a few times. So we just got along, and that's a lot of working relationship with photographers is so important.
Okay.
Now everyone has their own videographer, but like back in the day, it was like you had to work with the photographers. When we went, so then he called me we actually did a trip to Norway a few years before where we're in the northern, kind of like the northeastern corner in I forget what sea it is, but where you could see Russia from where we were. Wow. And so that trip was crazy. We were taking snowmobiles around everywhere because, you couldn't drive because all the roads were closed, and that was a trip. And then from that trip, we got all right waves, nothing great. And then he's like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this trip to Iceland. I'm setting it up. And I was like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
And so we went there, and yeah, we scored. It was awesome because it was so cold. It was this time of year, but it's crazy. As cold as it is, when the waves are good, you're trying not to sweat.
Really?
It's
Interesting.
because if you sweat, you're gonna get colder quicker.
Uh-huh.
The second you slow down, you're gonna get cold. But we got such good waves on that trip, and it was crazy because we never saw the sun the whole time. We got great waves.
The waves were
it was a trip. It was
Just
firing.
super cold.
It was cold, but it was crazy because the first day we were there, we were just kind of hanging out in Reykjavik, and then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go," and it's so confusing because it's dark out for like 19 hours.
Yeah.
And it's just full blizzard. We land, it's full blizzard. We get there, and it was like we got hit by two of the biggest storms in 25 years.
Wow.
And so then we're driving through the snow. We get up to this right, and it's like you just see this right just spinning and spinning and spinning. Nobody's ever seen it before.
Yeah, is that the one you guys are all going crazy, kind of?
Yeah. Nobody's ever seen it before, and it was actually the first real day that we were trying to surf, and we come around the corner, and there's this right, and it's like, holy Christ, the best cold water wave I've ever seen.
Wow. With that being said, you're going to some of these countries, Iceland, you're going to Norway, that aren't known for surfing. Are there other surfers? And if there are, or if there isn't, are you guys kind of showing the locals that you can surf here? And are they embracing it?
Some of the places that we went, like when we were in northern Norway, there was no other surfers. There's surfers in Norway, but more in south, south by Stavanger and Lofton, where those you see all that one wave. It's like that right and that left in that valley. That's Lofton. But like north of there, we're on the northernmost coast in the Arctic Circle, and it was cold, and there is no surfers. Like people are looking at us like we're crazy.
Yeah, you kind of are.
But in Iceland, there's a good surf community in Iceland.
Really?
Yeah, there is. There's some really good surfers there.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. So, Iceland it's so littered with waves. You see more of it, especially after that film came out. It seems like every surf company sends people there now to film their cold water stuff, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful place. And there's so many good waves. I don't think anybody knows all the waves on that island.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. So it's ready to be explored more, really, is what you're saying.
Yeah. There's a lot of coast. There's a lot of coast. It's just hard to get to, hard to access.
Okay. Now, another thing about traveling, I'm fascinated by your traveling. Food. How do you deal with the food? Are you open to new foods, especially like Norway and stuff? It's kind of like different food.
Yeah, I'm very open to new foods. It's funny. Because of wrestling, I've always been pretty strict with my diet.
Okay.
So I'll go through phases where I'm a vegetarian. I've done the whole vegan thing. I haven't eaten chicken since high school. It's just something about it. Yeah, it's something about it. And poultry, all poultry, anything that flies, it just doesn't work. And then I'll go through phases where I don't eat meat for 8 years, 9 years, and I'm back in that phase now where I'm just eating seafood and plants and stuff like that. So sometimes, it can be challenging. You're not eating the healthiest diet. When you go to a place like Iceland, it's all imported. Everything's imported. So it's just different. We went to the Faroe Islands where all those whale slaughters are. You ever see those whale slaughters that they have?
Seen it. It's horrible.
It is and it isn't. It's part of their culture. They've been doing it forever. But the thing that we were there for is we were there in probably October, November. They were slaughtering all the sheep. So you're literally like walking down the road, and there's just wheelbarrows full of entrails and so blood running down the street. It was crazy. It was very dark, and it was a cool place. But just seeing all that stuff going on, like how people actually live in these other countries where they have to get their own food, it's pretty gnarly sometimes.
Okay, so then I take back that it was, no, but I know that the whale thing. I just can't wrap my head around it in today's age. But that's just my opinion. We don't talk about it, and I understand
No,
what you're saying.
I fully respect it. Everyone's, you know, who am I to go over there and go judge them?
100%.
You know what I mean?
I agree with you 100%. You being an American and the culture you were raised in, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess you said it. You approached it. You understand what they were doing, I guess. I don't know. Was it just, I don't know what I'm trying to say, actually. It just had to be gnarly. It just had to be gnarly.
Yeah, it was different. I mean, listen, they've been doing it forever.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I don't have one thought or the other.
Okay.
I just, you know, I see all the whales out here that we have nowadays off our coast. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I don't want to eat that. You know, it's beautiful to see these things. But you know, that's just part of their culture. It's
100%.
what they've done. And, you know, but food's, you know, always find something to eat somewhere. I've never been really someone that's, you know, if you put me somewhere, I'll find something to eat. I'm not going to starve.
yeah. And then do you ever get invited to like the local's house and they want to like share their food with you in that situation?
Yeah. So funny story is I was actually thinking of, when you brought up the food thing, I was thinking about when I went to Senegal.
Oh.
And we were there during the Muslim New Year. This local family invited us into their house, and basically you wash your hands, and those are your utensils, and there was one big bowl, and like you're eating. It was pretty surreal. It was kind of like a crazy experience. We're in this small home, you know, and I forget the name of the city that we were in. But it was wild. Like, these people invited us in and fully fed us, and it was awesome. It was an incredible experience, you know.
No, it sounds incredible.
And it was lamb. It was lamb and couscous. It was really it was cool.
So, are you eating it because once you try it, do you enjoy it, or are you just eating it to be respectful in that situation?
You know, I don't remember if I was eating meat at that time.
Oh, okay.
But I did eat it. Yeah, I did that day for sure. Like, I'm not going to be disrespectful. If someone's putting food in front of me,
okay,
you know, that they're like, sharing, bringing me into their house, I'm going to eat it, you know? So I don't remember if I was or wasn't, but I know that night I definitely did eat some lamb. I don't think I ate a lot, but I ate some.
Oh,
and it was good. I remember the couscous being pretty darn tasty.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it was a trip.
So all these experiences you've had in life. So now you have a family, right? And you have a wife. Do you share these with her? Or do you look back, like just driving down the road and something reminds you of some situation in your past?
Yes, I share a lot of stories. I share a lot of the same stories, and she kind of gets mad at me sometimes. But but yeah, when I sit down and think about some things, you know, there's so many experiences that that are priceless, you know.
100%, yeah, really.
That are it's all learning, you know. You're just learning, and if you have your eyes open, you pay attention, you know, you're just picking stuff up from different cultures and seeing how other people live. And it's awesome. But do I tell her stories? Yeah, I tell her a lot of stories. You know, it's funny, for a long time I wouldn't tell my parents that much because they would get a little nervous about things I was doing when I was traveling. So I'd wait till if I called them out on the road, I wouldn't tell them what was going on.
Okay.
You know, but it's, I don't know. It is, as I'm getting older, you know, I kind of, you appreciate those stories and memories more.
Yes.
I guess, you know, when I was younger, I don't want to say I took it for granted, but I always thought that I'd have more of those experiences, and it's not always the case.
So how many kids you have?
I have 2 daughters.
Okay.
Penelope's my older one. She just turned 6. And
okay, cool.
And then Reagan's my younger one, and she just turned 3.
Okay, right.
So, yeah.
What's your wife's name?
So it's Nicole.
Okay. So has she traveled as much as you, or even remotely as close?
No, she's traveled a fair amount though. When she was younger, she worked in the magazine industry.
Oh, cool.
In women's magazines.
Oh, right.
And she still does a lot of writing and editing for women's magazines, and so she got to travel quite a bit. Probably not as extensively, and it's funny, we've gone to different places.
Yeah, you know? She probably went to Paris.
She went to nice places. I was slumming it. I was on some beach with nothing,
Yeah. Which is cool too.
which is awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
That's funny. How do you think all these experiences, Hawaii, big waves, little waves, warm water, cold water, definitely shaped your life? I think now you're kind of saying it. You appreciate what you've done, but maybe at the time you didn't appreciate it. Is that a correct assumption?
Yeah. Yes, that is. I think when you're in that moment, you kind of let things slip by because you're kind of focused on getting your job done and
Okay.
thinking about that so much that you don't really soak in everything that's going on around you.
Okay.
As I've gotten older, I've learned to, appreciate those downtimes a lot more. And
Okay.
surfing's, given me everything that I could ever ask for. It's given me a home. It bought my house. It's given me a career. I own surf schools now, and it's given me a family that, I can provide for.
So first question on that, I wanted to talk about that. That's where I was kind of leading. You've been all over the world. Your wife's been several places. You said also Nicole, right? That's her name?
Yes.
Yeah. And you guys decide to settle into the town. Is she from that same town as you are?
No, it's pretty funny. She's from Staten Island, and
Okay.
growing up where we are,
yeah,
we used to despise Staten Island. So the fact that she's from Staten Island is hilarious.
Okay. So you guys are general 100 miles or 50 miles from each other, basically same
Not
coastline?
even.
Yeah,
not even. It's like 30 miles.
Okay,
it's probably 40 miles away. Yeah.
Okay.
It's I despise it because I've never was there. You know what I mean? And now that I've been there, I appreciate it. Yeah. But it's just different.
So my question is, why did you choose to move back to New Jersey? Like, you've seen everywhere else. What drove you to want to stay home?
What drove me to stay in New Jersey? I love it here. I love New Jersey. Yeah. I like the change of seasons. I like weather. I like storms. I like big storms. I like snow. I like heat. I like, you just appreciate that stuff.
Okay.
I like to see, if you've ever been to the East Coast in the fall, it's
stunning.
It's stunning. September, October, it's beautiful. When you get waves, it's incredible. And I just like that change of season. I like the small town feel that we have.
Okay.
The town I grew up in the summer, there was 100,000 people. And then in the winter, there would be like 5,000.
Wow.
So it's just such a resort town, and you'd have the summer chaos, and then it would balance out by winter. I mean, you could, I run a lot, and I'll run down the middle of the highway and not have to get out of the way.
Wow.
And it's just it's cool, like that you can experience all that. But really, I guess I just love the beaches and the ocean around here.
Okay.
I always tell people, before they did this beach replenishment that they did, we had the nicest beaches in the world. And especially where I grew up, it was just this beautiful sand, and there were white sand beaches where everyone's like, oh, it's the cesspool. It's like, no, you don't understand what's going on here. It's actually really beautiful. Everyone thinks they fly into Newark and go to New York City, and Newark's not the most attractive place, and neither is Elizabeth, which you fly into,
Yeah.
But once you get out of that zone, it's actually a really beautiful state. So I just appreciated it. I always wanted to, I guess one of my dreams too was being able to buy a house in the town I grew up in from surfing.
Wow.
And I'm not there yet. The town, it's kind of really, since Sandy, it was a total change of scenery, I guess, with who lived there and who didn't. It was just a different clientele came into town.
Okay.
And the housing market kind of skyrocketed. I'm 2 towns over, so it's like, for me, I'm fortunate to live across the street from the bay, and I'm 50 yards from the ocean. So I just love it. It's beautiful. It's cold and crisp and clear, and there's gonna be a crazy storm this weekend, which is awesome. I like seeing angry ocean, I guess.
Yeah. Like Victor at Sea kind of thing.
Correct. Yeah.
Your daughters and your family, are you going to push surfing, or you think it has to happen organically?
I'm one that believes it happens organically.
Yeah.
If they want to do it, they do it. I've gotten my older daughter out once.
Oh, okay.
I haven't got it. It's hard. It's funny because of the surf schools.
Yeah,
You know, during the summer, I leave the
Swamped.
house at 6.
Yeah.
I leave the house at 6 and I'm back at 7. You know,
Yeah, that's rough.
so it's a grind every day. You know, the school, my wife pretty much took it over and restructured it, and we have 10 locations and we have
Wow.
75 surf staff and another 10 office staff.
Wow.
So it's turned into a big operation.
Yeah, it's like legit.
Yeah, it's legit. It's full business. Yeah,
That's
it's
a
crazy.
full business, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's funny. Because she has more of the structure. She went to a good school, and me, you know, I just do things trial and error. I understood the concept and how to teach and all that stuff,
Yeah,
and she
yeah.
understood the back end. And also with my family growing, you know, I grew up in a business, the restaurant business, and you know, if I ever had questions and stuff, my family would guide me in the right direction.
Okay.
So it's cool. But yeah, I haven't gotten him in the water that much because I'm not with him in the summer.
Yeah.
You know, in the summer, it's kind of, if you're not working, it's almost an opportunity lost, and it goes both ways. So it's an opportunity lost with my family, and that's why I travel with them in the winter. We have a house in Isla Mirada down in Florida.
Oh, cool.
And we'll spend some time down there. I get them in the ocean down there a lot, and it's not waves, but I think my younger one will surf.
Okay.
She's a little bit more hair on fire. I want to burn the world down. My older one's a little bit more conservative.
Is your sister still surf?
No, my sister never surfed. She never surfed. Yeah.
Oh,
I
her
just
friends
always
did.
watch her friends.
Yeah, okay, I
I
gotcha.
always watch her friends.
Okay.
But she never surfed, as far as I know. My dad didn't surf. Yeah, no one in my family surfed.
Okay.
It was kind of just, you know, like I said, I was just a product of the environment.
Yep. And then your surf school, are you overseeing the thing, or are you actually getting in the water and helping kids learn how to surf, or whoever, adults, whoever?
So I oversee everything, obviously, but I'm also in the water. You know, in the summer, I'm in the water about 6 to 8 hours a day, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Some days I'm not. I'll do like 4 hours on a light day, but that's 6-7 days a week in the summer. Yeah. I enjoy teaching people that want to learn.
Okay.
It's fun to explain, you know, the ocean conditions, what you're seeing, you know, fixing people's faults. It's fun, you know, and it's funny, after teaching, you learn more about surfing and the mechanics of it, and you kind of look into yourself and you know, nitpick there. But it's just fun to teach people and just talk to different people, because there's a lot of downtime and you have a lot of different experiences. And I have a lot of different clients, from kids to people that are, you know, in their 60s still trying to improve, you know. So it's just cool to deal with everybody in that aspect.
And then you have a surf team, right? Is that on your?
Yeah.
So
we do surf team.
Is that like
it's more
experienced surfers?
Yeah, it's more for kids that are experienced and they don't want to do the school route. So we call it surf team, and just, it's more coaching. It's more of a group coaching class.
Right.
It's pretty cool, because then you get a bunch of kids, and, you know, iron sharpens iron. You know, if they're surfing with better kids their age, they're going to get better. So they're pushing themselves in that hour, and when they start slacking off, I kind of tell them to straighten up and let's get their head in the game and, you know, start pushing.
So are you guys surfing heats, or what do you do? Are these contestant surfers?
Yeah, we do heats. It depends. I have different groups. So I have like A group, B group, C group. My A group, we do a lot of contest stuff, and you know, just running a lot of mock heats and trying to, you know, critique small things, and, you know, just trying to get kids to think while they're surfing instead of just trying to react a lot. Trying to get it, you know, just to think about what they're doing and think about what they're seeing, and trying to get it all to slow down for them.
In your local lineup, especially in the winter, are there any up and coming Groms that we should be watching for or looking at in the near future?
In my area, there's some good kids. The one kid, you know, that I'm sure you know of is the kid Cruz de la Feña.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's down in South Jersey. He's not really in my zone.
Okay.
But I've seen him surf a bunch, and it's pretty damn impressive, man.
Really?
It's like, yeah, it's pretty impressive.
How old's that kid? You know? around?
I think he's 14.
Yeah, he's young. I know exactly who he is.
He's
I see
young.
him on Instagram.
But he surfs like an adult. Once he puts some weight on, he's gonna be he's gonna be really, really, really special. Like it's it's fun to watch. I mean, it's funny growing up in New Jersey. We're all competitive. We all want to be the best in the state, but it's so fun to watch those younger generation, really come up. And I want to see the best surfers on the coast come from New Jersey. Is it going to happen? You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, Ballroom just won the friggin' Pipe Masters yesterday.
Yeah,
that was incredible. So like anything's possible. So there's some good kids. There's a few good kids by me. Not as much in my distinct area anymore. What happened with Sandy is Casino Pier fell into the ocean.
Yep.
And it really took the epicenter of surfing in this area away.
Okay.
And so there's it still holds sand good, but not even, it doesn't resemble the old wave at all. Not even similar. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did it make a reef or anything?
No, they pulled it all out of the water.
They pulled it all out.
But it's just a beach break with no structure. There's a little bit of structure, but the structure barely touches the water. So it's just another beach break. It's not the same, but it's really affected my area of where I grew up, surf wise, because you don't have that little pool to kind of, cut your teeth in.
Yeah. The meeting spot, like where everyone's hanging.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining the QuiverCast. And Sam, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Mike, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be on here, and it's great speaking with you. Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Right on. All right, everybody. This is Mike and Sam Hammer, and we're out of here.
100-foot out joke food, 100 racks on a surf dude, slippery, big guns like Mark Food, trap jumping like a kangaroo, 100-foot out joke food, 100 racks on a surf dude, slippery, big guns like Mark Food, trap jumping like a kangaroo. You know we don't fuck with no kooks, you boo on my didgeridoo, they calling me dude, I'm stacking the loot, I'm ripping your chick in the coop, she grabbing a hold of my leggy, they jelly, they Gucci my weddy, the friends of Giuseppe, the chain is so heavy, she think that I'm charging the Eddie. 100-foot out choke food, 100 racks on a surf dude, slippery, big guns like Mark Food, trap jumping like a kangaroo, 100-foot out choke food, 100 racks on a surf dude, slippery, big guns like Mark Food, trap jumping like a kangaroo, surf trap, I'm stacking that money, cash, four shots a red Ferrari, he starts to calling me Dundee, diamonds a surfing McFlurry, drip, she want me to teach her to surf, splash, I'm pulling up, ripping the verse, I'm leaving these kooks in the hearse, they get moved, 100 foot on their head, they get work, 100-foot out choke food, 100 racks on a surf dude, slippery, big guns like Mark Food, trap jumping like a kangaroo, 100-foot out choke food, 100 racks on a surf dude, slippery, big guns like Mark Food, trap jumping like a kangaroo. You know we don't fuck with no kooks, you know we don't fuck with no kooks, they calling me dude, I'm stacking the loot, I'm ripping your chick in the coop. You know we don't fuck with no kooks, you know we don't fuck with no kooks, they calling me dude, I'm stacking the loot, I'm ripping your chick in the coop.
Hey, you guys, Endless Summer box set. This thing is legit. It's authentic, numbered certificate in it. It has a 5-frame film strip from the original print. You literally own a piece of history. It has a specially minted bronze medallion. Dude, that thing's sick. Okay, there's so much more here. Go to the show notes. There's a link on there. Go check this piece of history out. This thing's rad. Seriously. Smithsonian American History Museum has it. It took 4 years of research with 3.5 in production, all hand assembled. This thing's rad. So much to this awesome box set. Remastered DVD, sharper images than the original film, but dude, this thing's so sick. Link in the show notes.